You're watching Open Agenda. Here's our host, Joe White.
Welcome to Open Agenda. I'm your host, Joe White. In the studio with me today is Michael Langford from Salisbury. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Dr. Jovanosa from Salisbury. Thanks for coming in.
Gentlemen.
So I want to talk about the Salisbury City Council meeting. They moved this one up to December 15th for the holiday. There's going to be a few more weeks before the next City Council meeting. There wasn't a lot on the agenda, but there was some discussion about how to move forward with the agendas, whether or not they were going to have 4 meetings a month or 2 meetings, which we've seen both in recent history. And then also there was a little bit of a clash among City Council members when we got around to the council comments, right?
Yeah.
So we'll have that conversation, all right?
Yeah.
So stay with us. When we come back, we're going to discuss the City Council meeting from December 16th. Welcome back to Open Agenda. In the studio with me now is Mr. Michael Langford from Salisbury. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Dr. Jovanosa, thanks for being here.
Thank you, sir.
So I want to talk in this segment about the Salisbury City Council this past Monday. There wasn't a lot on the agenda, as is typical for the end of December. They did discuss potentially going back to having one meeting every week.
Yeah.
So one week would be a work session, and the alternate week would be a legislative session, just like they had before Sean Dowdy moved away. And that was done most likely to accommodate Sean not living here when they went to just 2 meetings a month.
That seems fairly evident at this point.
A discussion on moving the council meetings back to the weekly meeting, work sessions, first and third Mondays are the legislative sessions, and the second and fourth Mondays would be, wait a minute, hold on. The first and third are the work sessions. The second and fourth are the legislative sessions. We've had a lot of conversation about this. The mayor's office has reached out. We've had a brief conversation about it. I said I'd like to put it on the agenda for the council to talk about it. If I'm not mistaken, and Nick and Mayor Taylor help me out, but part of it is during the work sessions with staff time, it's the costly with overtime, compensation time.
Yes. So an example would be if we have something that one of the council members would like us to have a director here to discuss. We've had instances in the last couple months where that's 9:00 at night before that discussion's happening. We're not asking them to go home and come back, so a lot of times they just continue working. I think it would make it a lot more efficient if that work session meeting would be on a separate Monday, and that's where we are with administration.
We had that arrangement before, and it did work fairly well. Mayor, did you want to add any more into that?
Well, I always felt like it worked better in that we had, there were shorter meetings. We get at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. There's a lot of public comment. We get busy. There's a multitude of ordinances or whatever. It can get lengthy, and I think we can do a little more quality discussion when we're kind of shortening an earlier meeting. Everyone's got his head in the game, and I think it's easier on everybody, including our staff. So that's just my 2 cents.
But if we're going to go back to every Monday, then I think it should be 6 o'clock. I think we have to give the people, the citizens that we represent, an opportunity. Even if they don't come, they have that opportunity to be here.
I also agree with April. The 4:30 could be a crunch. So if you can make it 5:30, something like people could come from work, something like that, and that would possibly help alleviate.
I'm going to say the same thing.
Crunch.
4 o'clock is the end of the day for most of the staff, or is it 4:30, 5 o'clock?
4:30.
4:30.
Okay.
Yeah. It is our recommendation to do every Monday. What time? I will leave that up to you guys.
So then mayor's office, you have no problem with like a 5:30 start time? You don't
ma'am.
see that? Okay. Because I agree that 4:30 is too early.
I was going to say it's fine with my schedule, but I do think this requires an amendment to the rules. So we would need to put it on a work session to make the edits to the rules. And so are we moving forward with that, with just changing the time? And or are we also going to address remote participation?
Both.
I have the Zoom meeting access discussion on the January 12th work session.
I'm just saying, because I don't think it makes sense to amend the rules for the meeting change time and then to amend them again if we're for the remote participation.
All right, so we'll keep the Zoom meeting access discussion for the 12th. And then,
So it's a resolution, so we could do a work session and just do one reading. So we can maybe at that work session discuss when it will become effective, set a date in February for that.
Does it have to be on the 12th? Can we decide tonight, since we're in a work session already, to whether or not we want to include Zoom?
You could.
Yeah.
We are all in favor of the Zoom option with further exploring of the account and the security of the account. So then it's done and the time is set, we're good to go.
so we would put the resolution on for the 12th?
Correct, and then it would be passed at the following legislative session, assuming,
The 26th?
assuming everybody's in agreement with those changes, yes.
When will that come back up? When will they actually make that change or vote on making that change?
So they were talking about, I guess, having the attorney draft legislation for that, and then there's the clerk was speaking to the aspects of however the agendas are created is through some company's software, and with the holidays, it's dubious as to whether or not we'll be able to contact them and alter those forms in order to go to the weekly format, because they're templates basically, and then they just send them the agenda items that then get put into that template, if that makes sense.
So this is going to take a couple weeks.
So it'll probably January, February, but there's no specific timeline quite yet, but it seems the intention is to go back to the weekly, which is how it's always been.
And Joe, we've heard different sides of the argument. Some folks seem to think that having less meetings allows more of the public to attend, but also having 48 meetings a year would give the public more opportunities to put their input in, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting choice. I think at this point, I mean, this is just my personal perspective on it. I think the schedule now is probably sufficient given what they deal with or don't deal with. And again, you always have the option of calling special meetings. I have to admit, considering the lack of legislation that has historically come out of the city council, at least in its current iteration, I think 48 meetings a year is quite ambitious for not having done much.
Yeah. I've had a chance to talk just in the last 24 hours to people who feel both sides of the way.
Yeah.
At least they're going to debate this out in public, which is always what we want them to do, right?
Yeah.
So the other topic that came up yesterday was during the council comments, we actually got a chance to really get a sense for how April Jackson felt about being nominated and unanimously voted as vice president.
But what I wanted to say is last week, I felt bad. And I couldn't say what I really wanted to. But what took place last week was terrible. It was really terrible. I wasn't satisfied with the outcome of what happened with the new elected or appointed person. Not that it's nothing against you, Melissa. Please don't take this at heart. But what I want to say is, I called you twice to talk to you after you were appointed and before you got sworn in, and you never contacted me, but you spoke to everybody on this council by phone. But by some weird way, you nominated me to be the vice president. Okay? Now, what I want you all to know, I don't need to have a title to do what I do. A title doesn't make me or break me. Before I became a city council person, I was working steadfast in my community and in the city of Salisbury and Wycomico County. So don't take it lightly, because I know what happened and I know how it happened. Because Sharon was first asked to be the vice president. See, I'm going to set the record straight. She was asked to be, and when she declined, it was me. You're not satisfying me by doing stuff like that. I'm not that person. I'm a real person. And so I'm going to tell you something. God spoke to me then, told me hold my peace and he'd fight my battle. But I have to get this off my chest, because I am tired of people thinking that people are crazy, stupid, and dumb and don't know what's going on around here. What you all did, you should be ashamed of. I'm going to let it go there. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all the rest of the good stuff. I just had to get that off my chest, because y'all know it was wrong. You know it was wrong. You know it was. I'm done.
Yeah.
We mentioned in our show last week that we felt like she was surprised, maybe by the way it went when you watch her reaction.
And Melissa, how I remember saying about how Melissa was kind of quick to jump the gun. Angela wasn't even done with opening the floor for nominations before she had nominated April, which we said was telling. Well, this week we found out more.
Well, I think she, like a lot of us, felt the whole process was in some ways disingenuous. I think she felt insulted, I would say, right, in terms of as to how it played out as far as, the lack of transparency and council members going to her and specifically making that point, because as we found out, there was somebody else who had been approached for the vice president role.
Yeah, Sharon DeShield, right?
Correct.
And Sharon's made it known that she's not looking for that leadership role, especially with this kind of cabal of
Been very open about
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was shocking to me. And then the response. April spoke about the lack of transparency in dealings, and that like she was the only council member who had not spoken to Ms. Holland prior to her being appointed, right? And then Ms. Holland's retort was, "Well, I only had one missed call." So
from April Jackson.
From April Jackson.
Councilwoman Holland?
Sure. Ms. Jackson, I won't go into that here. I have one missed phone call from you and a voicemail. I'm not going to get into that. I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday. Enjoy the time with your families, and just take a break and relax all you can. Thank you.
I thus kind of am admitting that she had not in fact reached back out to April, and that April had in fact in good faith reached out to her. I don't know. The tone was one that was off. I'm not sure what she was trying to demonstrate there, but other than corroborating what April said,
it pretty much confirmed what
Ms. Jackson said.
Ms. Jackson said.
But let's put this in another context, and I brought this up in last week's show. Melissa Holland is the one who nominated April Jackson to be vice president.
Yeah.
So if you follow this logic out, she hadn't spoken to her. She had never served on the city council with her. Mm-hmm. And yet she felt strongly enough to nominate her for vice president. If you don't think that doesn't mean this was scripted, then your head is really into the sand, and I'm not going to be able to help you with that. So
yeah,
I agree.
The footage speaks for itself.
No, and then the final tip of the hat was Council President Blake's bringing up the word fraud into the conversation, which April had, spoken, I think, to the fact of like a letter of the law, but not the spirit of the law being followed, right?
And not fraud.
But had not accused, that word had not entered the discourse. So it felt very telling about, again, the unscrupulous nature and the scriptedness of the proceedings.
And as you can see in our work sessions right off the bat, election reform, important, an appointment process conversation, and of course the Monday meetings. But we do have that election reform. There's going to be lots of discussion about that, and I think we're going to be scheduling a lot of town halls throughout the city to kind of get a lot of feedback from that and thoughts, plus some research, a lot of research and some other ideas maybe we haven't even thought of yet. I don't know. I think talking about the appointment process was followed the way that the charter laid it out and all the appointment processes that I went through. And talking about, there's two different things. Being upset about the appointment process is one thing, or wanting a charter amendment to do something else besides the appointment process is a total different thing than say that it was fraud. That's a pretty big word. There was no fraud. It was actually
really did surprise me, like when she specifically went out of her way to use that term.
Yeah, especially when it's not been brought up.
It's not been brought up. It's like, excuse me, what's going on here? Yeah, it says a lot.
And let's not forget the bigger scope here is like Miss St. Fard. She actually never got to have an interview. Jermichael Mitchell has stated that he felt like his interview process was flawed. He's put in PIA requests to find their notes and what communication was happened. Our concern was the lack of transparency, maybe not the lack of results, but then this argument is still going on. It has not been resolved, and that's the one thing the community wanted.
Correct, and it is my understanding, speaking of a lack of resolution, that as of today, which is December 16th, I believe, Ms. St. Fard has not been given a straight answer as to why or what she did incorrect in the process to not even merit an interview.
Yeah, and to be disqualified at the last minute is got to be frustrating because you're trying to serve your community. Whether you think she should be on the city council, whether you would vote for her if there was a special election, is inconsequential.
Yeah.
Someone took the time to put their hat in the ring,
Yep.
and was not given the same level. And if not, then why?
Right.
You know?
And that's exactly it. If she's disqualified, then just merely state the disqualifying factor.
Yeah.
I do it all the time with people applying for an apartment. These people follow it like they're public officials that can't follow due process to get a result.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be like standard form of
That's
the
like
thing.
the bare minimum you can do is just to explain, well, here is the process that was not
Yes.
followed, if that is the case, and explain it.
Yeah.
It's been, what, 2 weeks now?
I can tell people your credit score isn't here, your income level isn't here. I can tell them why they're disqualified. I
Right.
don't tell them, oh, I don't like the cut of your jib.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
never anything. So that's the thing. She really deserves that straightforward answer of, hey, why wasn't I given this opportunity like other people? I mean, it's her right.
When is the next city council meeting?
I believe January 12th.
Yeah, it's after
All right, so
yeah. Quite a gap.
6 o'clock. Okay, so stay tuned then, and hopefully the community will stay engaged and hold these folks accountable. So thanks for watching this segment of Open Agenda. We'll be right back. Thanks for watching this episode of Open Agenda. We hope you have a Merry Christmas. We'll be back later this week with another new episode. Man, that was good. We don't need Joe Venosa.
Nope. Michael Langford, 1026 Arthur Court. So I just want to commend you guys, voice support for going back to the weekly meetings. To me, it comes down to basically 50 chances a year if you go weekly for the public to engage with elected officials versus 25. You know, it's just more opportunities. Things will happen. People will get ill. Kids will get sick. You know, so people will plan to come and not be able to. And everything that people come, like on the for the legislative sessions, you know, they may not comment on something on the agenda, so they can come another time. So I just think it's good to have more opportunities for people to engage. And I think doing just as somebody who does events for a living, setting the consistency of the time helps people show up and be able to rely upon the thing. The 4:30 to 6 before through people, and